Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here, and welcome to Trenton 365 Midweek. And today it was specifically going to be about Trenton 365 Community Calendar. And that is a Facebook page. The Trenton 365 Community Calendar page is under the umbrella of Trenton 365, and it's got a hyper focus on sharing information to the general public about things that are happening in the Trenton, New Jersey region. Now, there may be things that are included on there, but and they're not local to the Trenton region, but there's a connection to the city of Trenton. So the idea and the impetus was to bring together a space where Trentonians and people who have a passion about Trenton and from Trenton, et cetera, can go to this page and post their things. And it can be hopefully a build out of what networking can look like. There's no charge, there's no fee. We do take funds if you want to do something specific, like say if you're an organization, a business, an event, et cetera, and you want to get some specific shine, like you want to have a blog post or you want to do an interview segment or something like that. Absolutely, we can build that out for you for a very small or nominal fee, which is way lower than the rates just because we do all of our stuff in-house. We've got the studio, we've got the distribution, we've got the fashion, we have the artists, we have all that stuff in-house. So our rates are quite a bit different than other production houses. So if you have some interest in building out a Trenton 365 community calendar advertisement, commercial or something like that, just send me an email. Trenton, the number's 365, the word show, SHOW, Trenton 365 show at gmail.com. Then we can talk about that. Other than that, go over to the page on Facebook, Trenton 365 Community Calendar. There you can see different events that are happening, and you can post and share your events there for free because communication is super important. So with the hyper focus on this being about the Trenton 365 Community Calendar page, I want to talk about Take My Tour of Trenton. Now, the idea of Take My Tour of Trenton is literally to just do that, to get away from this idea and this mindset and this concept of what the stigma is about the capital city of New Jersey. When we think about things, oh, and look at this just keeps happening. Just keeps on happening. You might come on in here and just say hi real quick. So for many of you, you guys know of Civics Up in Smoke and the work that I do with Yolanda L. Landy Robinson. She just walked in the door. So we're going to have her say hi as well. Maybe we'll break out and I can steal her for a little bit to do a segment. She is probably literally just popping in for a moment, but we're going to have her talk about her event that she's part of with Joe Frazier Productions and Miss Downing Promotions and Productions. They're doing an event in Atlantic City for the fight fans who are out there. Yeah. So going back to, man, this is just life, right? Trenton 365 Community Calendar page on Facebook. Take My Tour of Trenton. Learn about where George Washington became George Washington as the man that we know today. Many folks don't recognize the importance of the city of Trenton. Literally blocks from where I'm sitting here at Hub 13 is where George Washington fought and conquered the Hessians and as well as the British. For the battles of Trenton, which then catapulted him to the battles of Princeton and then on to becoming the man who we know today as one of the founding fathers and one of our first president. But that's part of history of where Trenton is. So what I like to say is that revolutionary mindset, blood, that's in the soil, the DNA of what's here. So we need to figure out how do we harness that, capture that, and recognize that the 300 years, almost approximate 300 years, that was based upon what took place historically here. What are we going to do going forward? And with that, I encourage you to make sure that you get involved in a couple of things that is the impetus of what Trenton 365 is all about. And that is civics. It is very important for everyone to be a part of the process of what our community and our democracy looks like. So we want to encourage folks, and we do have to be honest and say that we know that there are some folks who are living in the shadows who may not have the opportunity to come out and to talk about certain things or to share certain things. But those of us who have that freedom and that space to do it, please be encouraged to get involved in a process of registering to vote, voting for who you want, not who someone tells you to vote for, regardless of if it's a color that you like or don't like, or your granddaddy or your mom or any of your family members. Find out for yourself and use those instincts, whatever it is about that person. Vote for that person if that's what you really feel is important. But please, if we don't exercise our rights and our privileges to vote, it will be taken away. And it's not that it will be maybe as large as saying a whole group of people, not that they haven't done that before, can't, but it could turn into something where it's done on a micro level and not one big chop. So just keep that in mind. And the best way to fight that is be involved in the process. And this goes for being civically involved, not only in the election process and politics, but also from what's going on in your neighborhood. It makes sense for you to know if your neighbor needs assistance, and it makes sense for your neighbor to know if you need some assistance, if you're out of town, if there's something that's going on that shouldn't be going on. We all have a right and we all have a responsibility to build out what we want our communities to be. And that's why civics is so important. Shout out to the neighbors who I know through the Trenton Council of Civic Associations and that organization, who are actively trying to make their city and their community better. More than likely, it's a very small percentage of people who are causing many or most of the quality of life issues. So it makes sense and it behooves us to band together and start eradicating those issues. If we find out it's more social, say, for example, if it's jobs that are needed, then, hey, we know that we can get people jobs. If it's a need for services, healthcare, food, any of those things, we know we can get them. We need more resource centers that are actively engaged in the process of building out this community civically. And that also where it comes back into Hub 13. Hub 13 West Front Street, historic downtown Trenton, is also a location where resource centers and nonprofit organizations and even for-profit entities such as financial institutions who want to reach people who are on the ground, who are in the community, who may not be able to go to a 8 a.m. Tuesday morning meeting or a midday meet someone. Partner with us here at Hub 13, hub-13.com, to have your event at an applicable time that's going to be available for more people in the evenings, on the weekend. And it can be as small as partnering with us to learn what needs to be presented. And we'll use the folks in-house, myself and others, and we'll design what that breakout session looks like. It may be as simple as using our great space over there that I showed earlier, where, you know, we have a table set up, we're sharing information, and we do a small presentation in an evening where we can have 10, 15, 20 plus people who can't come during the day. But Hub 13 can be a space for you to do that, hub-13.com. Now, that was a whole bunch, but I'm not going to do Jacque's Reach. I'm not going to go through that. That'd be another recording. Hopefully you all can, I don't know, stay on, or come back for that. But I want to jump into the Trenton 365 Performing Arts, and I want to introduce Darnell Omega story.
Yes.
Now, I want to do this, but I want to do it in a way that it talks a bit about the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes when people, you know, see someone who is successful, they don't see the backstory.
Yeah.
They don't understand some of the challenges, the ups, the downs, the peaks, the valleys, the changing in the personality and the creativity, et cetera.
Yes.
I can say I've been able to see that. You know, I guess it's probably been almost maybe a decade now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, man.
So yeah, like I know I've got some pictures. I got to go through them from you performing, pitching fashion.
Yeah.
If I recall, there may have even been like a little filmmaking segment in there for a little while.
I try to dabble my hands in anything, man. You know, creative. Like, I'm the type of guy. I like to think of things and make them happen. And there's so much talent out here that I was just talking about this yesterday. There's so much talent in fashion, to tech, to music, to art, and you can bump into anyone over here and do something and create some ideas and everything. And that's all I've just been doing. It's just been rocking with people that just have some dope ideas and me contribute however I can and everything to make it happen, you know.
So some of those dope things, but before we get into that, because I always like to give a little personal stuff, because I think it's important for people to know that, like, you know, people who do this stuff, we're really humans and stuff like that. You obviously been hitting the gym a little bit.
Man, I'm trying, man. I'm trying, man.
You look good, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Just trying to hit the gym, trying to get healthy, man. You know, COVID kind of, you know, we stuck in the house, so we eating a lot. So I gained a little weight. So now I'm like, all right, I gotta hit this gym, hit the weights and all that stuff. You know, get a little healthier and all that stuff. So I'm trying, man. You know, I'm trying to get my thing together. You know.
So with that being said, right, when we first met, it was around the idea of the holistic approach to what we're doing, like WH. And I remember we had talked about how much music was influencing the community and the art scene. And then there was so much that was going on with like the Sage Coalition crew and R.E.A.C.H, all those different things were happening here in Trenton. We had this culmination of all this energy and all this talent. But one of the things that we connected on was the fact that you had recognized like the importance of the spiritual aspect of it, and also, hey, my health and those different things. So can you give the folks a little bit of background about, you know, why Il Omega, you know, has thought about, you know, as an artist, why that's important to share?
I think it's always important to like push those type of ideologies out, especially when you're in the creative space and everything. You know, with health and, you know, spirituality. I always have conversations with me and Stripe about that and everything. And just, you know, how to spread, you know, good ideas, good habits and everything, good like I said, ideologies and everything out to the masses and everything as best as we can out here, especially in Trenton, man. You know, Trenton has this from people outside of Trenton, people have this idea of what it is. But then when you look in the crust of what this town and what you're doing, what I'm doing with my man John is doing, what R.E.A.C.H was doing, the punk scene, the hip hop scene, the art scene and everything. We're pushing that. We're pushing the spirituality. We're pushing the positivity, the schools, the education and all that stuff, the art. Let's get some of these kids off the streets and put them in programs that talk about these things. And then you start seeing like the whole community start to change a little bit. One by one. It's not going to do it that quick, but it's going to be slowly. You start seeing kids going to school, doing more creative things, less crime a little bit, less homelessness, people getting help that they need and everything, people that don't have homes getting homes now. Like the community runs this thing. As long as we keep this going, like what you're doing, everybody else that I'm rocking with that's doing and everything, it's going to start making this community change for the better and everything. And from the outside looking in, when a lot of people say, oh, Trenton, I'm like, yeah, Trenton, man. People are doing things out here. It may not look it, but you see what we're doing right now. You see what we're doing right now. Even though we don't get the help from, you know, the government or something like that, we put our own money together and get things going and everything. So, you know, as we said, we pushed like with you with the medicinal marijuana and everything. I've been seeing you rock with that and push that to the masses and seeing how the government kind of like folds into like, no, this is actually working. Yeah, of course it is. You see that all the help that we're doing on ourselves, putting money together, put everything together. Now you want to jump in. But we've been doing this for years, talking this stuff for years. And I just try to get into the fold, get into the mix and try to figure out how I can be able to help out. You know, my contributions to hip hop here, you know,
he's in my head.
Yeah, bro.
So listen, so with that specifically, I want to transition, right? Because I guess it's what, 3 years now?
Just about
almost maybe 2.5, 3 years or something like that, August. So we were just coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
And you had been rocking.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know, we had you tell the story of how you came up with the idea of Attack of the Robots and the history of that, and then how that came to us partnering with Bill Nobes, etc. And shout out to Bill.
Yeah, shout out to Bill Nobes, man. He was a major factor in this too, and some of the success that I recently started getting everything with Bill. So shout out to House of Robot with Bill Nobes. But Bill Nobes was working on his Analog Trenton album, and he was a lot of these days when it comes to making music, people do a lot of digital, you know, Pro Tools and everything. There's nothing wrong with it, but, you know, digital, you know, sampling and the digital into your computers and different things like that. What he wanted to do is that he saw the scene out here. He's not officially from Trenton, but he saw the scene out here and was like, yo, this is dope. I want to do an album here. So what he did was like, I want to make it rustic. I want to make it analog. A lot of people don't record this way anymore. So he took all his equipment. He went to Mill Hill. He went to Champs. He went to a couple other places. Went to his house, which is a crazy studio.
Perfect. Yep.
Perfect studio. And he started recording bands, punk bands to hip hop artists, and just made an album just showcasing us. And I saw the bands that he was wearing. I was like, man, I love Black Collar. You know, oh man, you got Lee in there. You got Robust One in there. Yo, I work with, let's go in here and work with Bill. And he was like, hey man, I already did one. He was like, what? I was like, bro, me and you need to do something. Your band got it. Me and you got to do something. I want to meet this guy. So me and him went over with a few friends and everything to jam out. And I just had my setup and we were just recording. We just jammed out. We just did a couple songs that we were performed. And he was like, just keep going, and just performed and recorded us and everything. And that's how I met Bill. And me and Bill just hit it off. And I was just like, yo, this is dope. He was schooling me on how different techniques of mixing and mastering and all that stuff. And something just hit me. Like after I left, I was like, man, we should utilize this space for like shows or something. And that's before COVID. So, you know, I was like, yeah, we should do that. Me and Ray was like, yeah, we should do like a show or something like that. Raymond Strife, Ill Omega show. And just, you know, have a couple friends to start, you know, to perform, and then we'll be the headline or something like that. And it'll be something different. Then COVID hits. And then now everybody's doing the web shows now. And I was like, yo, we should do it now. We should really do it now. If we can't perform in front of people, why don't we just do the web thing? Just get a few people out there, not everybody in the studio, and just have us just record and, you know, just perform and, you know, just get a little spotlight, keep us going with the performing, all that, see how we'll be able to monetize the web industry right now, since everybody's doing like verses with Swiss Beats and Timbaland. So I was just like, yeah, I want to do that too. And what wind up being our first episode with me and Ray wind up turning into a whole series of people. So I was like, yo, we should just keep this going. The first night was so great. We had DJ's Just a Mod, DJ first. Shout out to DJ's Just a Mod. And me and Ray closed out the show. And we was like, yo, this is awesome. We should keep doing this. So I invited a couple friends and everything. I got Notehe and Josue Lora. I had Bachman come through. I had Khalil Ali come through. I had my band Roadsart. He's the producer for Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan. He came through. Frank G, he rocks with Wu-Tang Clan. He came through. I can't remember who else I had.
But no disrespect.
Flea Market, Flea Market, everybody,
Flea Market.
And the Dojo Brothers, me and King Hu and everybody, they all came through.
So I want to take him off the hook because I've been in this space. Like, there's no disrespect if your name wasn't mentioned.
No disrespect.
There's no way we will be here forever running the credits. So with that being said, if you know that you were part of this, you know you were a part of this.
Yes.
So with that being said, let's figure out how we can start doing some interesting things, like bringing that back, revisiting that, and then also creating a network based upon that, because that's what this is really about. You got to get the numbers up. So with getting those numbers up, like if you're watching this, if you're a fan of Ill Omega, be a fan of Trenton 365 and the people who were mentioned on here, and vice versa. Then we start getting those pops, those picks. And then, you know, the advertising dollars and things like that start coming this way. So then we can expand on what we're doing. So instead of us chasing dollars, we can now just do this.
I always say to people too, like every time I go out and your name gets mentioned, I'm like, yo, that's my guy. That's my man. He does a lot of stuff for the community. So when it comes to us promoting each other, that like, as you said, that's when advertising, people want to see like what's going on, like, yo, what's going on in Trenton? There's a bubble here. I feel like it was happening a couple of years ago, and you know, of course, COVID kind of messed everything up. But now I'm starting to see the bubble come back. I'm starting to see artists that maybe have struggled through COVID starting to come back into the fold. I kind of did too. I kind of kept working a little bit during COVID, but you know, it was hard to keep up and everything, because trying to figure out, like, first of all, you know, let me get into the web space and everything, just to DJ or, you know, or to, you know, do Attack of the Robots and all that. But I just kept making beat tapes and all that stuff. But like I said, man, anytime that, you know, one of us gets together, we always should try to promote somebody's album or somebody's project that they're working on, somebody's podcast that they're doing. It spreads the word so more people can jump on and check out the lives and check out your show. And now they're introduced to me, so now I may have new people and everything. You know, it just works out, and it builds the community of Trenton. If we love this city as much as we say we do, promote everything,
Yeah,
you know, hey, there's something going on in downtown that talks about medical marijuana. There's somebody's new store around the corner. You should go there and eat. You should check out his music. You should check out some of the artwork over here, you know, something like that. So that's the beautiful thing that I've ran into when I've been, you know, with my music career here in the city, and it's been lovely, man. And I really appreciate you. And shout out to Bill Notes again.
Yep.
You know, we're working with him with Attack of the Robots, and you know, nothing but love here, man. Nothing but love.
Yep. And just a quick portion of that. And when we talk about the Telly Awards, so the whole series that was live streamed via House of Robots, Bill Gnomes and his studio. We did a series that was also in conjunction with original artists. And I hosted that series, did a brief interview segment with them in between the sets, and we live streamed that. So that was also in conjunction with us together, you know, winning Telly Awards. Now I was
on that, man.
Yeah, you too, bro. And I'm just doing the work that I do. So I was totally not even aware of how big of a deal it was.
Yeah.
It was until like some folks in the industry contacted me and was like, hey, you know, this is a pretty big deal. Like
it's crazy that I gotta give another shout out since we're doing that. Shout out to Jeff Stewart.
Yes,
he came through.
There we go.
He came through, and he has a great podcast that talks about movies and everything. And we all hung with each other. Bill knows me and Jacque, and you know Jeff, and he's in the movie industry, so he knows a little bit about certain things that you win and certain things that you receive as accolades. And he was like, "You guys got Telly Awards? I'm in the movie industry, and you guys got Telly Awards?" And we were like, "Yeah, yeah, we got Telly Awards." No. You know, Oprah has a Telly Award, right? Yeah. I was like, Jacque, we got a Telly Award.
Exactly.
So now we all hype, and we're all excited about, you know, getting the Telly Award. But I know it's still a great thing, man, because we weren't looking for the accolades for when we were doing it. I just love the music that we was doing. I just love the vibe that was doing. I just want to when I was doing Attack of the Robots, I just want to contribute to something to hip hop. You know, like that was my thing. You know, everybody gets in the music industry nowadays talking about they want to make money and all that stuff. Of course, we all do. I do too. You know, I want to make money as like Alchemist and Just Blaze and all that stuff. Shout out to Jersey, Just Blaze and all that. So, but you know, I also want to have my name etched into the rock of hip hop, and whatever I can contribute that winds up blowing up to where I'm from, Trenton and Jersey. Because Jersey, Trenton has a deep-rooted history with hip-hop. And that's all I wanted to do. And winds up people were watching it and watching your show with Bill. And people tuned in and got an award for it. And I really appreciate everyone that tuned in and was a part of that once again. And but yeah, that was crazy, bro. That was crazy.
So here's what we're going to do, because this is how things often works. So we got a portion of a show that I can use here. So with that being said, folks, our time is up. With our time being up, I want you to stay tuned. Omega, share where people can get in contact with you and follow you and support your music.
Yes. You can follow me on Instagram. It's ILL_OMEGA on Instagram. You just look me up on Spotify. I'm on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, ILL_OMEGA. You can catch me on my Bandcamp also. Excuse me, Omega, all one word, ILLOMEGA.bandcamp.com. I have more mixes on there. I have a couple beat tapes on there, a couple projects I've worked with, me and Raymond Strife. Also check him out too. He's the guy I do music with also. Shout out to Robos One. I have a tape on there also. Trenton legend to me. Yeah, I just dropped a new beat tape, 2 beat tapes recently that are on iTunes and Spotify, all your streaming platforms. The first one is called Wishing Never Works. A lot of old school samples on there if you like a little funky to old school. I have some OJ samples on there and everything that I was trying to cut up. And also I just dropped something for the summer, just a little brief 4-track EP called the Sundown EP. It's a little bit more chill if you cruising out and everything in the hot summer nights and all that. That's what I wanted to do. Just drop something chill for the summer. But yeah, that's where you can catch me at, man.
All right, awesome. Saying a big shout out to all the radio and television stations that are pushing this out. Our main one and our starting one, WIMG 1300, New Jersey's oldest radio station, WIMG1300.com, and WPHY Verizon Fios out of Mercer County, New Jersey. Remember, friends, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.